friends. Is this our last episode of LocTalk, season 3?
I'm afraid it is. It was a short season, but a very jam-packed one at that.
It went so quickly,
I know.
but it's been a ton of fun, and we've had some fantastic guests as usual, and I've learned a lot. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah. It was great to think back and rewatch some of the episodes and be like, oh yeah, and we learned about the different types of locks, the boho locks and the butterfly locks, and all of these things from Maria, and it's talking with Tony and talking with Shaggy.
And Brookie was an inspiration. Holy smokes.
Mhm.
Such a great musician and such a passionate, forward thinking individual and forward moving, forward shaking. I
We
love
need
her.
those movers and shakers in the world.
Yeah, we sure do.
So I wonder, like, who might we have for season 4?
I
Like,
know.
I have some ideas. I have a list.
And you're checking it twice?
Yes. And so today's exciting because we have a good friend on the show. Of course, all of our guests are friends or acquaintances that we know through the industry.
Hmm.
Um, and he's not a professional loctician. He has locks and he's sort of in the circle, but our guest today is a very young and up and coming entrepreneur. Oh my goodness gracious. In fact, how about you let our guests know, our viewers know who our guest is, and I'm going to go grab
Okay,
and
good
show
idea.
everybody what this guest of ours does, because it's freaking fantastic.
So, our guest today, you're in for a treat, is, as Karen said, a young entrepreneur, super talented. He runs his own sneaker company, and it's called Kicks by Shae. His name is Shae Coughlan, and we're so excited to have him on the show. And Karen's going to show you her shoes. I actually left my shoes at work, and every time I take them away from work, people get really upset when they come in, because when you walk in the front door of World Salon, they're on the top shelf of our product display. And people come in and they're just like, wow, those are super cool sneakers. How much are they?
Yes.
So many people have, wanted to buy them. And we had them made at the beginning of the pandemic because Karen and I were going to be members of the trade show in Toronto at the ABA for Noggin Oil. And so she had a pair made and I had a pair made. And so we were going to be walking around looking very cool in our sneaks. And then the pandemic happened, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So they remained on my shelf at work as an emblem of our cool friends.
And we will wear them. We will wear them. They will be brought out of the box. So for those of you guys who are on our YouTube channel, you can see this is the beautiful box that they come in. So he has this custom wrap paper with his logo on it. Now, my company is Modlocks, and Brian and I co-founded Noggin Oil. So check this out. This is so rad. We've got one sneaker with Modlocks with the blue laces, right? Like, did he not? Look at that. Look at that. It looks like it's made by a machine. It's perfect. And then, look at this one. I love that it's blue and orange, right? Like one complementing the other. Look at that. Oh my gosh. I know. I like Brian, yours, you've got a World Salon.
Noggin Oil.
Yeah, World and Noggin Oil. And then he even detailed the backs. Like, check that out. Right? And I graciously asked him to autograph mine. So, yeah, I can't wait to break them in, but they have never been worn. I refuse to wear them on a day-to-day basis because these are our special convention out to events kind of shoes. So there you go.
Yeah.
But he's just been blowing up on Instagram. He's done some crazy commissions. I know he did a pair of sneakers for a TD commercial, right?
Cool.
And he's done a few for some NBA players, I believe. Mm-hmm.
We are also, I'm interested in finding out about how he started, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just basically painting shoes, and now he's actually making shoes.
Making shoes.
Which is, I want to know how that transition happened. And he's got machines, and he's doing all this stuff like sewing tongues together. And did he study for that? I mean, when you look on his Instagram, it's perfection.
Mm-hmm.
Like this guy does everything to a T. It's incredible. Every detail is really carefully considered, and he's a very, very smart, very finessed young gentleman, and I'm really, really impressed with him.
Mm-hmm.
His attention to detail is like none other, and when you get his sneakers delivered to you and you open that box, as Karen just did, it is a mind-blowing experience.
Yeah.
And so I'm just, yeah, so impressed with this guy. So
well, shall we bring him into the room, have the conversation?
Let's do it.
All right. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
Let's turn this on. Hey there, how y'all doing?
We're awesome.
Great.
How are you?
Nice to see you.
I'm good, thank you. My apologies for the delay.
You're a busy man.
Yes.
Just late night, that's all.
Yeah, but you're catching up. I know you're doing some projects, right? So
yes, back to back to back to back. But yes, we make it work.
You're
And Shae,
young, full of energy.
Yep.
Are you still in school as well, Shae?
Yeah. So it's wrapping that up. I'm in the harder part of school now, 3rd and 4th year. Finishing my 2nd semester of 3rd year, and then next year going into 4th year. So hopefully by this time next year, I'll be finishing up my bachelor's degree.
That is fantastic. And Bachelor of what?
Bachelor of Commerce.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I just want to check y'all can see me all right. Quality's good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Perfect.
Awesome.
We'd love to see how long your locks are getting.
They're getting there. I've been wearing them down a lot more.
Wow.
Well, it's wicked.
Yeah.
I've never seen you with your locks down.
Right. It's honestly, I'm still like getting used to wearing them down because they're so heavy. Like for me, whenever I'm doing an activity, I would love to wear them down more, but it's just, they'll start to now get right in front of my face. And then like, so when I'm roller skating, I would love to wear these down, but I'll like check my shoulder and I'll think that my lock that's swinging around is somebody else. So I'm like, whoa, what? But it's just my hair that's like 10 pounds. But yes, I love them. I'll wear them down. They're not so intrusive.
And you only have a half head.
Right? I still have, so it's like all around the back too, but
it's a nice lineup.
Imagine if all that hair was locked, how heavy it would be.
Oh man. Oh, that'd be brutal. Like, especially when it's wet, it's actually like I could work out in the shower when I get my hair wet, just do some head raises and the weight of that. Right? There you go, multi-purpose.
Yeah,
we have a solution for that, Shae.
You'll have like Arnold Schwarzenegger next soon.
Right? Yes, Karen, let's see it. What's the
We have the solution for that, Shae.
Yes, sir.
You described the exact situation that this was designed for, my friend, right? You need to get some of this in your hands.
I'm gonna try it.
Game changer, quite frankly. You know, Brian, I mean, he was solving the problem. He's athletic. He wants to just clean his scalp and go, not wet his locks, because it is time consuming and so much water wastage. So we'll get you some.
Okay. No, perfect. I'm gonna try that next time. Literally tomorrow.
So you know how that came about. I was training for the New York City Marathon in 2015.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, I was running like so much, and for me, the feeling of sweat on my scalp, it just drives me crazy. I just want to get it off. And
Yep.
so that's how the whole wash idea came about. I just started spritzing a combination of like a light cleanser and some essential oils on my scalp. And then I would take a cloth and then just wipe it off. And so the locks aren't getting wet. And it felt so good and so refreshing. And it felt like you washed your whole head of hair
Okay.
by the time it dried.
Okay.
And so that was how the whole Nagano thing started, was that. And then Karen was trying to come up with something to ease her clients that had sensitive scalps, ease their pain when they were getting a maintenance and stuff, or virgin or whatever. And so she came up with the rollerball idea of the peppermint
Awesome.
complex.
Yep. Yeah, I've tried that before.
You've tried the
that
chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, you know, game changer, especially again, when the summer heat comes,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
great for headaches and so forth. But yeah, you know, I'm like, oh, I just need a little refresh.
Good to know. Good to know.
But
No, that's a.
let's
I
get back
feel
to
that.
you. This is not a what
All
are those
good. A promo?
commercials? Infomercial. This is not an infomercial, people.
No, it's already an
Oh,
infomercial.
good.
Sorry.
That was a beautiful segue. You can't miss the opportunity.
Right. You're an entrepreneur. You know what it's like.
Right? Always trying to sell yourself. Always.
Yeah. And let's talk about the opportunities that have come into your path, and you know, tell us some of those stories since the beginning. Like, where did it come from?
Since the beginning, wow. For the last like 2 weeks, all the stuff I've done, it's just right into hard hitting questions. Since the beginning, what would I say? I would say the first and foremost opportunity that got me going to where I'm at right now was probably the is the Remix project. The Remix project is a initiative for creative entrepreneurs in the city between around 16 to 25. And it's a program geared towards creative entrepreneurs in different sectors. So that could be recording artists, producers, engineers in the music industry. Then in business wise, that could be people who want to get into sports marketing, PR, that type of stuff. And then for myself, I was in the Arts Academy, which is like photography, videography, visual arts, that type of stuff. And it was a 9-month long program that was ran out of a building on Lower Jarvis and Queens Quay. The Arts Cape Daniels building. I believe Launchpad Daniels is also in there. But yes, that was a 9-month long program that I was a part of. And the connections that came out of that were amazing. Like if I had to trace everything back to like one event that sort of started everything and started the ball snowballing, it was definitely that, because a lot of my network now and a lot of the opportunities I see today are due to connections that came out of that. So it's kind of crazy to think about, like if I actually thought, like if I never did that, my life would be completely different now than it would have been.
Like that was a catalyst to your
Yes.
successes.
100%. 100%. And like I'm still great friends with everybody from it. We're still on our Instagram group chat. Like we talk pretty frequently. So it's like, and that was in 2019. So, you know, it's stuck. It's clearly like it left some lasting impressions.
So you were doing stuff before then. You were making shoes before then.
Yes, but not to the same extent that I am now. Definitely on the beginner scale. At that time, I was still doing a little bit of restoration work, which is like fixing up shoes, sneakers specifically, but fixing up shoes, cleaning them. And then customs was like, I was trying to just do customs, but that was something that wasn't as definitely wasn't as good at the time, but I was also doing it on a lot more of a basic level. Excuse me, not exploring my creativity as much. Just sort of doing things that were really popular at the time. And I think that's like a phase every customizer goes through, is kind of just doing like the hype stuff, which is the stuff that everybody wants to see and the stuff that just sells, like super, super basic, but it sells a ton. And then since then, it's definitely, I've explored my creative side more, tried to get to know myself better as an artist. And what else would I say? Yeah, I only took on a couple of projects throughout the 9 months I was there. that were, I'd say, creative. But yeah, since then it's definitely just gotten a little bit better, just a little bit in the 2.5 years since.
Well, you've been creative since I've known you, like since you were really young,
Oh
and
yeah,
you were making costumes. And it reminds me a lot of my
oh
son at your
yeah.
age, when you were his age. And I think that to hone in on that and to develop that artistic side and to, you know, use it to your benefit through everything that you do, you're just going to make magic in the world.
Mhm.
Everything that you create is going to be something that the world didn't have before. So I
Thank you,
love that you're really doing
thank
something
you.
special.
Yeah, it's just taking the transferable skills, because I've always been good with my hands and making stuff, and maybe that's why I'm really good at my new part of my journey, which is actually making shoes and cordwaning, um, rather than the actual like artistry. I've never been one to be able to like visualize something in my head and draw it out, um, but well, in a way, but not in a literal artist sort of way. Um, but yeah, now I'm finding I resonate a lot more with actually making shoes, and that comes to me and it feels a lot better to me as well. Because I think that's the closest to what I was doing with, as you said, just the costumes and all of that, which is kind of just reassembling, taking stuff apart and reassembling it.
Right,
But
right.
your
It's
art,
creative. Hmm.
Yes.
you have an incredible skill for taking something and replicating it for sure. Like with our shoes, the World Shoe and the Noggin Oil Shoe and the
Oh
World
yeah.
Shoe and the Noggin Oil Shoe. But that's
Awesome.
There's the shoes.
I mean, so many people
Awesome.
have come in and they can't believe that that was actually done by a person, you know,
Oh, thank you
when
so much.
when they see your work. And so you must have been drawing and doing that kind of stuff from a very young age as well.
But it was stuff like that. I guess I've just found my process. And it's also crazy to think, I was looking back on that I did those May 2020, like 2 year almost 2 years ago. And my mind's just blown because it's just around that time that the pandemic really started, and it's like we didn't know how much our lives were about to change. Um, so it's crazy to think about that for one. But then just about yours, Brian. I I've really value the factory aspect of things, and I like my art to look like it could have came out of a factory. Um, so just really trying to execute all those small details was really important when I was working on yours. Um, definitely took the time to do that. Wasn't like, oh yeah, I did that in an hour. Nope, nope. That was something that I really took some time to make sure it looked good, because it was such a minuscule design. Um, and I think they came out awesome. I look the world just right across the entire shoe. But even
Beautiful.
today, like, thank you. Even today, I really like to make sure that everything's on point, everything's accurate, um, everything really looks. And I've definitely gotten a ton better at that. I literally have like 7 pairs sitting beside me right now of just the same design. Um, but yeah, I value the whole factory look.
I
Cool.
have a question.
Yes.
You know, with having locks, I'm
Hmm.
curious because if you're very detail oriented and you're about precision and things being just so, how has your lock journey been in reflecting that? Because it's it's organized chaos, right? So you'll have good days, bad days, messy hair. Tell me about that.
Well, for one, it's certainly a lot better than having curly hair. Waking up in the morning and just being able to take my locks down, put them back up, and be done for the day is certainly a lot better than having to go put my product in my hair, wet my hair, shape it. Nope, that doesn't look right. Shape it some more. Um, yeah, it's 100% a lot better. Eases up a lot of the stress of my life because now it's one less thing to do in the morning. But overall, I'd say maybe this is a bit of my locks, but also growth as just a person and growing up a little bit. It doesn't feel like I'm not old, but like for me, I feel like I know I'm getting old. Like I'm 21 next month, and I'm like, wait, what? I was 17 2 weeks ago.
You're
Um,
21.
right, right. So I'm like, wait, pardon? Like, that's hitting me. But I think a lot of the growth I've done recently is um, accepting that not everything is going to be perfect, and being able to understand that the mistakes and the little things that I'm like not the happiest with are what make my art, but also are what make what I touch something that was done by me. Because yes, anybody can replicate a design, you can't replicate the mistake. Um, and and that's just something that's really standing true to me, that I'm like, right. So that's I'm really trying to ground myself in accepting that. And it's tough sometimes, because I was very hard on myself, and I had to break that habit in a way, but now I almost borderline swing too far the other way, where I'm like, whatever. I'm just being hypercritical, but I'm like, no, I have to stay true and actually still bring that factory sort of look without being stuck on the same thing for hours and hours, just because I'm like too stubborn to let it go.
Dude, that is such a cool thing you just said. I have to reiterate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you love the perfection, but the mistakes are part of growth and part of what we do as artists, and they have a place in what we
Mm-hmm.
do. We grow from those
100%.
mistakes, and that is so right on the money, man.
Thank you.
Profound.
Yeah,
Profound,
it's
yeah. I love
I
that.
like it. It goes really deep, but for me, like that's the difference between like moving on or another 45 minutes for me. So it really is very practical, in the sense of like, okay, all right, that's the best I can do. Is this something that I'm noticing? Is this something that everybody else will notice, or is this just something I'm hyperfixating on? And
Exactly.
10 out
Exactly.
of 10 times, it's all me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a balance. It's always everything in what life is exactly what you're talking about, right? How much
Mhm.
time and energy do you want to spend on one particular thing before moving on, right? What is the point and the purpose to what you're doing at this exact moment? And what is the project in a bigger, grander scale, right? Looking at everything.
Yeah,
And every time
100%.
you have one of those moments and you go through that, it's growth, it's learning, and it's like money in the bank. Then you get to
Hmm.
the next thing and you learn and you grow from that situation. And I think that's something that I feel is a pretty profound kind of part of life, and why we're put
Oh
here
yeah.
is
Oh
from
yeah.
absorbing those difficult times and absorbing those mistakes and learning from them, and then hopefully being ready for the next time in a different way.
Oh
And
yeah.
so yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, we haven't had a lot of younger guests. I think Brookie was maybe the youngest person that we've spoken to until you, Shae. And it's great to have that perspective, because the youth, like the three of us here could represent three different generations.
Mhm.
Sorry, Brian. You and I are different gens, that's all. um, but listening to you talk, it gives me such hope for the young generation, that there is this profoundness that I didn't really figure out when I was your age. I mean, I did. I was driven, but I was driven in sort of a different way, in that I knew for myself, I wasn't an academic. You know, my strengths was I was creative. I wanted to do something with my hands, but also integrate into society and make money, right? So, you know, trying to navigate and getting clever. It's just really great to hear that you are figuring that out. And kids are like the younger generations, smart.
Hmm.
Mhm. We're smart in some ways, stupid in others. That's for sure. Uh, no doubt about that.
And
Um,
our generation too are smart
oh
and
yeah.
stupid as
Oh
well.
yeah. Everyone has their flaws. I think there's balance, give and take to that. Um, yeah.
Like we're all
I'm not
learning, and we're
right.
learning
That's it.
different things at different rates. And so, but I think that one thing, I mean, talking with you right now and Karen, is there is something that kind of holds us together. Like we're different generations, but we're the same here.
I was just gonna say that. Other than the hair, for sure, for sure.
So I want to ask you. So you got this machine now that you're using. Oh, is it right there?
Yep,
Wow. Cool.
right behind us.
So when did you get that?
I got that May last year, so it's still not even a year old. It's still a puppy. And that's
Running
brand.
shoe sewing machine? Is that what that is?
So it's not. It's called a post bed sewing machine. Obviously I didn't expect you to know that, but it's easier to sew sneakers, shoes, that type of stuff, just because some of the stitches that have to be put in towards the end of the process are a lot easier to do on. So just to break it down, this little post right here, right here is where the actual needle goes into the post. Whereas on a flatbed, it would go in around here, and then underneath here is where you have your roller foot that like sort of feeds your material through. So this post makes it a lot easier to add some stitches in, because you can fold things around it and really start to shape something in 3D. Whereas a lot of other sewing machines, or when you're making clothes, you can do everything two-dimensional, like everything flat. But now when you're making sneakers, it's a lot easier to sort of just shape things around the post and then get that stitch right in. Whereas on a flatbed, you're taking a 3D object and making it 2D, doesn't really work out. So that's the whole YouTube, lots of YouTube and trial and error.
Wow.
You haven't had any education. You just learned that on your own, basically.
That's the great thing. It's just the resources are there. Just about.
That's amazing. So you're creating the whole upper of the shoe?
Yes. I'll grab it for you real quick.
Wow.
So this is my most recent pair. Still haven't finished, but this is what it looks like before it sort of gets molded and everything. So leather interior. But yes, this is what the ideally the shoe is going to look like. So I cut everything out of all my different leathers. I have a couple of leather scraps around me. So it all starts out looking like this in the different colors. And then I have a pattern for all of my different pieces, pretty much. I don't know why this is so white. Okay, anyways, I have a pattern for all of my different pieces. And then from there I'll stitch them, I'll glue or tape them together, stitch them up. And then there's a process to what gets stitched in what order. And then from there, we end up with something that looks a little bit like this. And then
Blown away.
comes the next part of the process.
You glue the upper to the sole? Is that
So the next part of the process uses a last. So this is what a last is, and it looks like a foot. So there's different lasts for different shoes depending on the shape of the shoe. So from there, I'll stick my upper on top of the last. I'll get some lasting board for the bottom, and then I pretty much have to pull it over, and you'll see how that's sort of sticking under. This is super, super rough, but more or less, I really have to pull all of this over to the shape that I want it, get all the tension right. And then the entire bottom of the shoe will sort of be tucked under like this. So this line here, this is my lasting line, and it has to come right to the bottom there. So you can see how that line touches right the edge there. I have to do that for the rest of it, all the way around. And then from there, I'll glue all of that underneath, shave it down. And once that's done, then I'll stick the sole on. And that's the finished product.
Okay, now I'm even more in awe of you.
Damn.
Thank you so much.
Now it's not just Kicks by Shae, it's Kicks Cobbler.
Well, cobbling is a different thing. Cordwaining is, I was talking about this last week on the podcast or the live interview I did. So cobbling is when you're fixing shoes. Cordwaining is when you're making shoes. So cobbling would be if I already had the shoe sole on, and let's just say I needed to if what's an example I can give you? If this flap was like coming undone, let's say, cobbling is the act of like gluing that back down and stitching it back up. But actually, cordwaining is the act of making the shoe from scratch, whether that's sneakers, dress shoes. Dress shoes is where it came from, obviously, because that's where it started. and then sneaker culture was appropriated into that. But yeah, that's the difference. If you didn't know, now you know.
Well, that's what I learned today.
Awesome. That is amazing.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
What kind of advice are you giving to other peers and, kids younger than you?
Great question. It's tough to say that because I'm definitely I was self-aware, like in all humility, I was self-aware that I was kind of ahead of my time. So it's hard to relate to people and give advice to people who don't also have that realization. Because everything you say will just kind of go in one ear and out the other. Um, the best advice that I would have, I would say is first of all, it's your network really is your net worth. Love that saying. Nepotism is a real thing. That's literally how I am where I am today is all because of other people and just confiding in others and helping others and then having that kind of come back. That's the first of which, but then the second of which I would say is kind of just do something. It's always better. It's always better to do something than to not do something thinking about it. Um, like the whole process of me taking on shoemaking was after a week of thought, and then $4,500 later, and I was starting that type of thing. So of course, yeah, I needed some resources for that, and I had built up to that. But same thing happened with when I started. Me and my buddy split before I had a huge collection of paint. Before I had this huge collection of paint, it was me and a buddy split like I don't know, $75 each to get like a decent a couple of colors to start, and then some cleaning supplies, and that's how it started. So I definitely say don't not do something because you're thinking about doing something.
Can you talk to my husband? Sorry. He's the thinker,
Yeah.
I'm the doer. We are a duo in that
Oh yeah,
regard.
that's harmony.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah, a lot of
100%.
That sound advice.
Yeah, that's I think would be my best advice. And then fail as much as you can as well, because out of failure comes out of failure comes some of the biggest teachings and learnings. And yeah,
Yeah.
but it's so easy to not fail now too. Respectively, respectfully, it's so easy to not, because there's so many resources available, like at any given time on any given subject. It's just you have to find them. Well, not even find them. Like that's just a Google search away, and then you'll get,
So maybe to comment further on that, it would be like the bigger the fail, the bigger the success on the other side, or something like that, right? Because I think everything can be, in the word fail, everything is a learning experience, right? So you can have
Mhm.
smaller learning experiences and then like a bigger, bigger
Yeah.
loss, bigger gains, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah. Well, I've had that a few times. It's always nice, I guess, to sort of know what you're doing, and at least if you're gonna fail, understand why. Than to sort of just fail and figure it out afterwards. Um, but yeah, like as long as you take everything as a learning experience, and I sort of shifted my mentality to that in high school. And since I did that, I remember just everything being a lot better, because I'm like, okay, well, it was a learning experience. Um, yeah, just in different other personal aspects of my life, I kind of had that. I had some big failures rather than just here, which is kind of backwards. Um, but yeah, through that, I definitely was just like, okay, what got me through it was just saying like, well, now you know, don't be an idiot next time. Sort of just
Well, I
moving
think
on from there.
also one of the things that I have noticed and want to bring up is it seems like these days a lot of parents, like a lot of the older generation, don't allow their children to fail as well. Like they don't want them to get out there to the point where they can fall down and scuff their knees.
Hmm.
And so I think so many kids end up with this sort of paranoia and this sort of sense of not knowing who they are, not knowing themselves because they've never been allowed by their parents to get out there and do something, and so that's another whole layer to what's going on in the
Oh
world.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh
when
yeah.
when we were younger, you go out for hours, and when you were hungry, you came home, you know, kind of thing.
Or if the
Mhm.
street lights came on.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. The streetlights. Like I'm grateful that I caught the last little bit of that just before technology sort of took over.
Mm.
Because I was at the point when, you know, social media and Instagram and everything and having a phone started getting popular. I was already I might have been like grade 6, grade 7. So by that point, or it was slightly before that, but it was still manageable on my mom's end um, until I was around that age. And by then, you know, I'm already like well off. But now it's so young and it starts so young, and I can totally understand from a parent's perspective how it, yeah, like it's easy to say that in theory, but it's such a big world and there's so much out there. Like it's a tiny world, but it's so big at the same time. Um,
Mhm.
so just it's so easy to get lost in it. Um, and yeah, like I that's a thought. I wish I could give my kid the childhood, my future kid the childhood that I had. Um, just because it was always, you know where your friends are based on where the bikes are outside. Uh, rather than right, rather than oh Snapchat, what are you guys up to? Um, that type of thing. And
Yeah.
I grew up with like jumping the fences in the backyard rather than just playing Fortnite online.
Yes.
So
Well, you're lucky.
Oh,
right,
you
right.
know where your friends are, where the bikes are. Like that is
Mhm,
so great.
mhm,
I love that.
mhm. That was
That was my life. Oh my God.
right. More
Yeah.
similarities, more similarities.
Yeah.
I feel that Shae, you're an old soul.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I say everything in humility. It's always so hard to talk about myself without sounding like I'm bragging, but I really just I'm just communicating. I feel that definitely I've known I don't relate to a lot of people my age. Um, it's always like all my friends are older. I might have a couple. Like of course I have friends that are my age, but for the most part, people I actually confide in and take stuff from always older, always. Because like if you're the smartest person in the room, get a new room. Again, in all humility, but that's kind of there's not much for me to do. Like I don't want to go work a part-time job now. I don't want to work a summer camp, which is like all my friends they're starting to figure it out, and I've really noticed, like comparing to like 3 years ago, I've really noticed a lot of the people my age have started to come to the realizations, okay, what am I doing with my life now? And big ups to all the people that have taken action on that. But yeah, there's still a lot of people. It's like, okay, cool. Um, did a kitty just enter the room? I think so. Um, yo, puppo, hello. Um, hello. Special guest. We have 2 special guests today.
He just came
Adorable.
in from a walk. So thank you for joining LocTalk, Thor.
But yes, it's definitely sort of always been sort of wiser. Like my best friends in high school were teachers. I still keep in touch with some of them too, so that's how I know like it's accurate.
Wow.
But yeah,
Amazing.
definitely. It has its pros and cons. Didn't get invited to too many parties, but at 20 I built this, so hey, I'll take it.
You'll be hosting the parties.
Yeah.
Right,
No time at
right,
all.
right.
Speaking of that,
So,
what's next for Shae?
um,
School.
what's next? School. Finishing. That's it. Finishing. God, I had I'm in this one class right now. School is not for me. It's so broken. It's so broken. I'm literally I'm in an entrepreneurship, so I'm a business kid, business major, majoring in entrepreneurship, and and even I still have to find ways to make this relevant in school. And it's like, okay, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, yeah, I don't want to start a startup, but I have this, and I still have to find ways to make this applicable in school. Um, and that's I'm taking one course right now, which is quite literally a business development course, and I had to finagle and finesse my way through it to sort of make anything that I'm interested in sort of apply. Rather than just, oh yeah, like that's a great starting place. You already sort of have something. You're a freelancer, but you're still, we can work with that. No, it's like find something that people really need. People don't need custom shoes. I've gotten that a couple of times in my 3 years. But it's definitely finishing, getting through next year. Kind of nervous for that. We had the guest. We didn't have a guest speaker. We had the professor for the fourth year 2-term course come in and just talk to us about it, and it's all so bureaucratic and dumb. Oh, find a company and you're gonna consult for them, and I'm like, yeah, thanks. So I'm paying to work for them. That's stupid. Yeah,
Sorry.
just trying to get through that. So COVID really helped with that because that was 2 years of my education. That was a lot easier. And I mean, like prior to that, I had 1 semester in school, and then it's like, oh, I'm in first year. Nope, now you're in third. So that's what COVID did to that. Grateful for that in some ways. But yeah, finishing school is what's next. And then once I'm done that, I have the rest of my life, I guess. Then it's the real world, which is scary.
Mhm.
Well, I
Well,
think
I
one
don't
of
want
the
to.
things, go
I
ahead,
don't
Brian.
want to slam academia, but I went to university as well, and I majored in communications, and television production was kind of my jam.
Awesome.
So after a whole year of doing productions and some stuff that I was really proud of, at the end of the year, I realized, oh, I don't have copies of all these productions that I worked on. And I mean, especially the one I directed.
Hmm.
So I started like scrambling to get copies of the production that I directed specifically, but I wanted other ones too. And guess what? They had retaped over all the students' productions.
Oof.
So there were a handful of students that actually were able to get their stuff,
Yeah.
Wow.
portfolios, but it was ridiculous. I mean, that
Yeah.
should have been something like preparing you for the job market. That should have been part of what they were teaching.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You would
build
think
your
that you could get to take
portfolio.
that for your reel and your portfolio.
Nah, didn't even cross their minds.
Oh,
So I mean,
it's
so that's kind of another example of how academia is great for some things, but
been terrible in others. For
yeah,
practicality, it's like, oh, here's how you start a business. Okay, but how do I do my taxes? How do I write shit off?
yeah,
Could never be school, ever. Like let's talk about the real thing, because there's no point in running a business if I'm in jail for tax evasion. you know, for real.
yeah.
But
Don't go there, dude.
oh yeah,
Wow.
I need to deal with that this month. I'm just back to back to back stuff. So hey, after this, I'll find an accountant in the next couple of weeks. Um,
That's
but
funny.
yeah, no, school is great in some ways for some things. Don't get that twisted. My girlfriend's a biomed major, so definitely she wants to get into medicine. 1000%.
Yeah,
Pound them into the ground to make sure they know their stuff. But for business, I definitely think there's, especially now, the way the world is changing. Like there's so much that is just changing so rapidly. It's kind of hard to say, oh well, this is what's right and what's wrong.
yeah, true.
Such profound words, Shae. I'm so glad that we could
Thank
talk
you.
today.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. As I said, it's in all humility, and I really do like sharing stuff is tough, but I appreciate when it falls on the right set of ears.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
very true.
And shout out to your mom, Locks and Crown, because
Yes,
she raised you right. That's all I gotta say.
always
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
well,
she helped me.
I'm sure you've got a busy day ahead of you, and we're gonna send you some noggin oil. Absolutely.
hmm
Sounds
Um,
good. I think there's some in the other room. It's all good. All good.
you
I'm
might
sure
be
you
able
need
to
a
get some.
refresher.
What was that, Brian?
I said I'm sure you need a refresher. So
Oh yeah, appreciate it.
And any last do you want to shout out your social handles if anyone needs to reach out to you?
Yes, sure. My social handles all are Kicks by Shae. This logo, Kicks by, first one that pops up. That's getting proud of that. Other than that, yeah, I think that's just about it. I don't like to do too much self promo. But yes, I appreciate the love. Thank you so much for having me today. It was great to chat.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. And thanks to both of you. I was thinking about this before I joined. Thank you so much for supporting me. Both of you have supported me multiple times. So that really does mean a lot. Always kind of getting to explore my creativity with y'all.
It ain't over yet.
So grateful. So grateful.
Thanks you so much. Good luck with school.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll be chatting soon.
Yes.
100%.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us today, and we will catch you next time, whenever that may be. This is the last episode for our season 3. So thank you again, Shae. Thank you, Brian.
Awesome. Perfect.
Love it.
Coming
Love
up.
it.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank y'all so much. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.